On that day, the hustle and the bustle ceased, and great crowds of people made their way here to the town cemetery. They'd come to pay their last respects to their beloved Dr. Ida. Dr. Ida S. Scudder from the far-off United States, who died after 60 years' service to the people of the region. Nearby lay her true memorials. The Christian Medical College she started in 1918 with just a few students and textbooks and a single microscope and skeleton. Now one of the largest and most respected medical colleges in all of Asia. There's the College of Nursing she started in 1909. And here in the heart of Vellore, the Christian Medical College Hospital itself. Begun by Dr. Scudder as a single-bed dispensary, it's today a 1,300-bed medical center with one of the largest ranges of training programs and curative services in Asia. On the outskirts of town, two smaller hospitals, deliberately kept simple to give medical and nursing students first-hand experience in rural hospital situations. And further still, the care extends out into an ever-expanding circle of towns and villages. In village homes and in village fields, at outpatients clinics and roadside dispensaries, over 200,000 people are ministered to each year by health personnel ranging from specialist doctors to village women trained by the hospital in midwifery and general medicine. In Vellore itself, a community health nurse has been urgently summoned. Come quickly, a boy is dying. Here's the boy. His name's Kalidas, one of 9 children who live with their parents and grandparents in this room. For months he's been lying here, totally paralyzed, while his anxious parents, believing him to have been the victim of witchcraft, have tried all sorts of traditional remedies, like the wearing of amulets and visits to the temple. They know the hospital is only a mile away, and they know that this community health nurse visits their street daily. But till now, they've kept their door closed, afraid that Western medicine might aggravate the witchcraft. But now they're desperate. They're sure their son is dying. And finally, the community health nurse is able to convince them that Kalidas should be urgently entrusted to the hospital's care. On admission, Kalidas begins a series of tests to determine the cause of his paralysis. Amongst them, this myelogram, which analyzes a spinal blockage through the movement of a radio-opaque fluid injected into the spine. Sadly, the tests reveal that a rare parasite has so compressed his spinal cord that there's nothing medical science can do to correct it. And soon, Kalidas will have to be told that he'll never be able to walk again. The challenge now will be to help him come to terms with his disability, to help him through appropriate therapy and training to lead his life as fully as he possibly can. All around Kalidas are other children. There are many adult patients as well, of course, but hospital admissions tend to highlight the fact that 40% of India's population is under the age of 14. While many patients come from Vellore itself, or from nearby towns and villages, others, like little Sangamitra, here for open-heart surgery, have come far greater distances. In her case, all the way from Bihar in northern India. And some are even referred here from surrounding countries to avail themselves of the special expertise of numerous departments, including radiotherapy and neurosurgery, orthopedic surgery and plastic surgery. Kalidas himself will need plastic surgery before his rehabilitation treatment can begin, to replace the skin destroyed by bed sores. But just now, he and the plastic surgeon who'll do that operation are busy with a more urgent task for a boy from a poor family, designing mobiles, which Kalidas can make for sale in the market, so he can reduce the burden of his illness on his family. Not far from Kalidas is the ward for children here for heart surgery. This hospital's been a pioneer in India in the diagnosis and treatment of children with heart disease, with a success rate that compares favorably with hospitals anywhere. And even complex cases like this 8-month-old baby, here for correction of major birth defects, stands a good chance of complete recovery. Yet all who work here, especially the trainee doctors and nurses, can find this ward particularly stressful, for many of the children are critically ill, often having been brought here far too late. And for some, nothing can be done. But always there's the loving care of the doctors, nurses, and orderlies. And, as is the custom here, there's also the constant care of at least one family member. In the case of a child, usually the mother or grandmother, who stays with the child around the clock, sleeping under their bed at night and providing emotional security and general nursing help during the day. Costly technology is vital too, in cardiology and in many other departments. One diagnostic tool is cardiac catheterization, in which a flexible tube is worked up through the arteries to the heart, so that the nature and extent of the heart malfunction can be revealed through various tests, including the monitoring of the passage of dye through the chambers of the heart. Nearby, little Sangamitra from northern India is nearing the conclusion of her hole-in-the-heart operation. It's an open heart operation, with a mechanical pump taking over all the functions of the heart while the surgeons work on it, a procedure first performed here in 1961. Before that surgical breakthrough, little Sangamitra would have been doomed to an early death. But soon her mother, waiting anxiously outside, can be given the good news that her daughter has every chance of leading a full and healthy life. Many others are waiting here too, for within the large surgical wing, 14 operating theatres are in simultaneous use, with 100 or more operations being performed each day. Others wait here in the hospital chapel. They're probably not Christians. More likely they're Hindus or Muslims. Yet they sense that this is the heart of the hospital, the source from which the dedication and healing flows. And they feel drawn here, whatever their religion, to pray and worship in whatever way they're accustomed, and to offer thanks to whoever thanks is due for a life saved, a young child cured, a baby safely delivered, for the multitude of blessings each day here brings. A new day that begins for many of the staff with a short service here in the chapel. By 9 a.m., the benches here in the pediatric outpatients clinic are already full, and the clinic itself's in full swing. Many children are here with the same minor ailments suffered by children the world over. but others are the helpless victims of far greater misfortunes. One such child is Kalairasi. She's 3½, and yet she weighs less than half as much as most little girls her age. Her father's a manual laborer who earns the equivalent of $2.50 a week. And most of her life, she's lived on a watery gruel, deficient in both calories and proteins. And now a recent bout of gastroenteritis has reduced her to such a severe state of malnutrition that recovery is uncertain and irreversible brain damage may already have occurred. Every day, children like Kalairasi are brought here, the most pitiful examples of the malnutrition that affects to some extent over half of India's population. Apart from a well-balanced, high-calorie diet and the loving care of the staff, children like these have something else to rely on as well: the financial support of people of goodwill in India and abroad. For it's through donations that the hospital is enabled to give free treatment to many cases such as these. At the moment, funds are only sufficient to subsidize the very poorest of the poor. But hopefully funds will be increased through a new person-to-person scheme designed to establish closer links between needy patients and their sponsors. Through this scheme, background details about the patients are gathered by staff and sent out to the sponsors, along with a photo and details of how the donation helped restore the patient to health. Two weeks after admission, Kalairasi is on the road to recovery. But sadly, despite all that's done, others, like this 3-year-old boy, are far less likely to survive. Of every 10 children born in India, 3 of them, 30% of them, will die before their 5th birthday, mostly due to malnourishment-related causes. It's a tragic situation, and all the more so because many of these deaths could be prevented. Often, for instance, even mild malnutrition can lead to the death of a child when complicated by acute diarrhea. And such deaths, over 1 million of them a year, probably wouldn't occur if people were better educated about hygiene and the treatment of diarrhea. This village bears witness to another preventable illness, which, in combination with malnutrition, can prove fatal. An illness that was recently responsible for the death of 10% of all the children under 2 in this and many other villages: measles. In most parts of the world, measles is rarely thought of as life-threatening. But here, measles can leave malnourished children so weak and lacking in resistance that they readily pick up some serious infection like pneumonia, and over 250,000 children die this way each year. Such disturbing statistics and the recent development of an effective measles vaccine has led the hospital to undertake the first mass measles immunization campaign in all of Asia. It's a big team effort, a measles vaccination campaign. For the Rotary Clubs of Canada have supplied the vaccine, and the local Rotary Club and government agencies are assisting the hospital staff with the campaign. The town criers here too, calling the villagers to the vaccination center, and Christian Medical College students who've been working and living here as part of their course further publicize the event through songs they've composed about the benefits of vaccination. It's certainly not the happiest day in the lives of these children, for apart from the dreaded needle, there's some none-too-tasty polio vaccine to swallow too. For polio, which thrives in unhygienic conditions, is still a serious health problem in India, crippling 200,000 children a year. It's no fun for the mothers either, seeing their children suffer. But they've seen enough suffering from both measles and polio to know that anything is worth a try. And the doctors have been quick to remind them that branding people with a needle was once a commonly practiced traditional technique of counteracting disease. But though there may be some value here in reminding people of traditional customs, there are plenty of other customs that the hospital's most anxious that people forget. So wherever people gather, the hospital's community health staff sees every available chance to re-educate. Take care that your family's drinking water is clean. Don't let flies settle on food. Wash your hands before cooking, and wash your children's hands before they eat. If your child does get diarrhea, give them plenty of water. Depriving them of water will make them much sicker. There's much to teach about diet, too. So the hospital's Community Health and Development Unit has recently started 25-day nutrition classes, which mothers, particularly poorer mothers, attend. When a baby's born, don't follow the practice of waiting 3 days before feeding it. Start within 4 hours of birth. Children over 6 months need more than just mother's milk and rice. They also need cow's milk, fruit and vegetables, curds, wheat or millet porridge, and if possible, meat and eggs. Mothers are exposed to new varieties of foods and are taught ways of combining them with food they already use. And sample dishes are prepared for the class and rigorously tested by the children. But what if the food recommended to keep their children healthy still costs more than the people can afford to pay? For the villages around the hospital are amongst the poorest in India, with 48% living below the poverty line of $1.50 a week. So it's not enough for a hospital that cares to simply tell people to eat more. Something far more practical needs to be done. One answer has been to increase family incomes by setting up handicraft centers for village women and girls. In this way, some 250 women and girls have each been able to supplement their family's income by around $20 a month. Extra money that can be spent on food so that babies like this have a greater chance of living full and healthy lives. And the hospital's gone further to tackle the question of food availability itself. This man, Dr. Dilip Mukherjee, has been put in charge of an ambitious project called RUSA, which aims to combat disease by improving both the quality and quantity of food available to the people of the area. Currently, the reason why children get so little milk, for instance, is because the village cows give so little, about 1/10 as much as Western cows. So, a crossbreeding program's been started, and already it's producing cows with triple the previous milk yield. Eggs, too, have been luxury items till now. But through the hospital's RUSA and Community Health and Development Program, and with the support of government agencies, chicken hatcheries have been established in a widening circle of villages, and many more children are having their diet supplemented by eggs. Again, with the help of government departments and the banks, the hospital's RUSA program also provides financial assistance and expertise in water management projects, and with the provision of fertilizers and pesticides. And machinery for power spraying, tilling, threshing, and many other agricultural purposes is hired to farmers at a nominal charge, and training is given in its use. Training's also given in the growing of new or improved crops. And through demonstration plots set up at RUSA headquarters and in village fields, farmers can see for themselves the advantages of crops like kababo, a drought-resistant, fast-growing fodder crop. And here, beneath these palms, we find perhaps the most valuable new crop of all, mulberry bushes, which thrive on this previously unproductive soil. Silkworms, supplied by RUSA, do the rest, converting the leaves into something far more valuable, silk, that the village folks sell at a good price to buy food. But all such efforts to raise living standards could so easily come to nothing unless equal attention is given to the question of birth control. For the current birth rate of 1 million new babies a month seriously threatens to undermine all efforts to raise living standards. So at village level, at urban health clinics, at the rural hospitals and in the main hospital, great attention is given to this vital matter. Each mother who comes in for childbirth is taught family planning methods and is reminded of the economic problems large families create. And mothers who already have 2 or 3 children above the age of 5 are offered something few today refuse: a free sterilization operation before leaving hospital. On a roadside near Vellore, we find another aspect of the hospital's concern. This man has leprosy, and sadly, he's still one of many. 4 million Indians suffer from it, and suffer too from the social stigma that drives many of them from their homes to become beggars. Shunned and despised, some gather here on the outskirts of their village for their regular rendezvous with a group of people who do care. It was while working at Vellore that the surgeon, Dr. Paul Brand, made the important discovery that the typical deformities of leprosy weren't due directly to the disease itself, but were due to the fact that leprosy causes nerve damage, which renders the extremities completely insensitive. Unable, therefore, to feel the warning signals of heat or pain, or even the sensation of touch, those affected are liable to all sorts of injury without noticing it. This man, for instance, had his fingers bitten off by rats while he slept. So, as well as being given pills to control the leprosy, great attention is also paid to the prevention of such injuries. A testing rod checks the amount of sensation already lost, so that the physiotherapists can assess each person's liability to injury. And an occupational therapist takes over from here, warning them of specific dangers in their environments, providing cats for those troubled by rats, providing special shoes for those most liable to foot injuries, and gloves to protect hands insensitive to the warning signals of heat and pain. And now something more can be done. Something that's given new hope to 16-year-old Rajendran and to many other leprosy sufferers. One problem that's always faced leprosy sufferers is that the disease gradually destroys the small muscles that open and close the hand, so that the hands are unable to grip things, and in time become good for little else but begging. But 3 weeks ago, the paralyzed muscles in Rajendran's hands were replaced by healthy ones, a surgical breakthrough of world importance pioneered here, to which many departments of the hospital contributed their skill and technology. Already, life and movement are flowing back into his hands, and with the help of massage and other forms of physiotherapy, his grip will soon be powerful again. The next step will be to find his hand something useful to do. Nearby, a workshop has been set up just for this purpose, teaching a wide range of skills that hand surgery has brought within the reach of leprosy patients. Here, Rajendran will spend a year or so under the supervision of Paul Ramuswamy, himself a leprosy sufferer. Prior to coming here as a young man, he too shared the despair of every young leprosy sufferer and had once tried to take his own life. But here he found a new life, and he hopes Rajendran will too. All over the hospital, people are struggling to cope with their condition, struggling to regain their health and strength. In a land with no unemployment benefits and no health insurance, there are few who can afford health care or even the loss of wages while undergoing health care. And the need for quick rehabilitation is a vital one. Among the patients in the large rehabilitation unit is Kalidas. the boy we found lying paralyzed in his house. His plastic surgery operations are over now, and his scars have healed. And he's now enthusiastically embarked on his physiotherapy program. Every day, for a few hours, he's brought here to the occupational therapy department, along with many others who need to find skills consistent with their handicaps. Some, while here, earn money sorting and packing for sale stamps that have been sent by well-wishers abroad. While Kalidas has continued to earn money from various crafts he's learnt here. And some of the money will go towards this, a low-cost wheelchair developed here, for an occupational therapist has visited his home and has found that this form of mobility would suit him best. Finally, the day has come for Kalidas to return home. With him goes his wheelchair, paid for along with his hospital costs, partly by his own hard efforts and partly by an unknown friend, a contributor to the hospital's person-to-person scheme. And with him goes something else as well. The knowledge that the love and care he's experienced here will always be available to him, to his family, and to everyone in the region, helping them in every way it can towards a future far brighter than it might have been.